When you're running a construction business, so much of the job is it's incredibly physical, right? And heavy.
Oh, absolutely. Everything is heavy.
Right. And if you want to see what's happening on the 15th floor of a high-rise facade, the traditional answer has always been, brute force.
Yeah, the old way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You literally build a temporary structure around your permanent structure.
Yeah.
You block off the sidewalk, you spend weeks pulling permits, you assemble thousands of pounds of steel scaffolding, and then you put your crew in harnesses. All of that just to get a visual on a concrete spall.
It's just highly invasive.
Yeah.
I mean, it creates this massive logistical footprint before you even begin to fix the actual problem.
Yeah, you're practically performing open heart surgery on a building just to check its pulse.
That's a great way to put it. And we accept that massive headache because, historically, that was the only way to get eyes on the issue. We like to think of construction as a boots-on-the-ground, tangible industry. So if you want to measure it or inspect it, a human being has to physically stand next to it.
But then you look at what happened recently with Turner Construction, and suddenly that whole massive scaffolding apparatus just looks entirely obsolete.
It really does.
Turner needed to do a routine facade inspection. And instead of weeks of scaffolding, street closures, rope access, they used a commercial drone. That one single operational pivot saved them $25,000 on one single inspection.
Which is just a total paradigm shift.
Yeah.
And the detail that really stands out to me here is the cost of the hardware itself.
Right.
The drone they used for that job cost them less than $7,000, all in. I mean, it paid for itself almost 4 times over in a single afternoon.
Unbelievable. So if you're listening to this right now and you run a construction business, whether you're a general contractor, a roofer, doing heavy civil work, we are going right to the bottom line today.
You are.
The mission of this deep dive is to explain exactly why adopting drone technology is the single highest ROI investment you can make right now.
And to really map out this shift, we're going to rely heavily on Smart Business Automator's Market Intelligence Report, alongside some real-world operational breakdowns. Because, frankly, this is no longer a fringe tool for, tech-heavy mega firms.
Right. The landscape has changed.
Exactly. The industry baseline has fundamentally moved.
Okay, so before we get into the weeds of which specific drone you should buy or how you actually train your team, we need to understand the sheer scale of this shift. Because if you're still relying on traditional methods, I want you to know exactly what you're competing against. So how fast is this market moving?
Well, the speed of adoption is staggering. I mean, the construction drone market is on track to hit $11.96 billion by 2027.
Wow.
And it just accelerates from there. Well, by 2032, we're looking at a $19 billion market.
Billion with a B. That is a massive financial footprint for a piece of hardware that, 5 years ago, a lot of old school superintendents were actively dismissing as a toy.
Oh, yeah. You're touching on the biggest psychological barrier the industry faced. But the reality on the job site has completely overridden that skepticism now. The proof is in the pudding. Right. Exactly. Right now, over 60% of large general contractors are already using drones. And the mid-market adoption rate is climbing just as fast.
It's huge.
Yeah, just to give you a sense of the sheer volume of data being captured, there's a software platform called Drone Deploy. They are currently processing over 400 million images annually. And that is strictly from construction sites.
Wait, 400 million images? That implies this isn't just a handful of guys taking, pretty marketing photos. This is an embedded daily workflow.
It's a foundational tool now. And the why behind this explosive growth is purely financial. I mean, Smart Business Automator's Market Intelligence Report highlights that drone ROI is proven across all major construction segments.
So it's not a gimmick.
Not at all. Contractors are seeing a 40 to 60% cost reduction compared to traditional inspection methods. And the timeline is where the real competitive advantage lies.
Tell me about the timeline.
Well, surveys that used to take weeks are now being completed in hours. We're talking 60 times faster.
60 times. Let's just put that 60 times faster metric into perspective for a second. Think about the jump from dial-up internet to fiber optic.
Oh yeah, huge leap.
Right. It didn't just make loading a web page faster, it completely changed what the internet could even do. If you're bidding against a competitor who is operating 60 times faster than you, your traditional methods are suddenly a massive liability.
Completely.
I mean, you're paying a surveying crew for a week of labor, and your competitor is paying one project engineer for an afternoon. You simply cannot win that bid.
Efficiency at this scale fundamentally changes the math of a project bid. You're either the one leveraging the margin or you're the one losing the job to it. There's really no in-between anymore.
But I know that big macroeconomic numbers and billion-dollar market caps do not pay your bills. So let's pivot from the macroeconomy directly to your job site. Let's look at the actual mechanisms here, because it's not just taking cool aerial photos. How is a flying camera actually replacing a physical, hands-on inspection?
Let's start with one of the most common applications, which is roof inspections.
Okay.
Traditionally, this involves putting your team on ladders, dealing with tie-offs, edge protection, and managing, significant fall risks.
Right, which is inherently dangerous.
Exactly. With a drone, you entirely remove the human being from the hazard zone, but you also gain an entirely new analytical capability at the same time.
You're talking about the thermal imaging.
Yes, exactly. You equip that drone with the thermal camera, and suddenly you can detect moisture intrusion that is completely invisible to the naked human eye.
Wait, how does a camera actually see water under a roof membrane, though? I mean, it's not X-ray vision.
No X-ray vision. It comes down to the physics of heat retention.
Okay, walk me through that.
So water trapped under a roof membrane absorbs and retains heat very differently than dry insulation does. Throughout the day, the sun is just baking the roof, right?
Right.
As the sun sets, the dry areas of the roof cool down very quickly. But the wet areas where water has intruded, they hold on to that thermal energy. They stay warm much longer.
Oh, that makes total sense.
Yeah, so the drone flies over, reads that temperature differential, and paints you a perfect color-coded map of the hidden leak.
Which means you aren't just doing the job faster, you are doing it infinitely better. I mean, a human inspector might step on a soft spot and find a leak, sure, but the drone maps the exact square footage of the moisture intrusion down to the inch.
Precisely.
And speaking of doing it better, let's bring it back to that Turner construction facade example for a second. When you're looking at a high-rise, rope access or scaffolding is incredibly expensive.
Very. You're looking at $15,000 to $25,000 in savings per inspection just by leaving the scaffolding on the truck. Because the drone can just fly a programmed vertical grid, capturing ultra-high-resolution imagery of every single window seal, every masonry joint.
Okay, so roofs and facades make total sense, but what about the heavy civil guys, the dirt movers? How are they using this before a building even goes up?
Yeah. Volumetric surveys are completely transforming earthwork right now.
Really?
Yeah. Let's say you have massive stockpiles of dirt or gravel on a site. Traditionally, a surveyor physically walks the pile. They have to hike up a mountain of loose gravel, sinking with every step, taking individual points with a GPS rover pole to calculate the volume.
Sounds exhausting.
It takes hours, it's exhausting, and frankly, it's dangerous.
And a drone replaces all that. How does a 2D camera calculate a 3D volume of dirt?
It uses a process called photogrammetry.
Photogrammetry.
Think about how human vision works. Our two eyes see slightly different angles of the room we're sitting in, right? Which allows our brain to calculate depth.
Right, depth perception.
The drone does the exact same thing, but on a massive scale. It flies over the stockpile, taking hundreds of overlapping photos from slightly different angles.
Okay.
The software analyzes how a single rock shifts from frame to frame, triangulates those pixels, and builds a highly accurate 3D model. We are talking about stockpile measurements with 1% to 2% accuracy, completed in maybe 10 minutes.
So you know exactly how many cubic yards of material you need to haul off the site without anyone ever actually climbing a dirt pile. That is incredible.
It is. And then you have weekly progress monitoring. Yeah. You can have the drone fly the exact same automated path every single Friday.
And what does that do?
This generates what is called an orthomosaic map. It's not just a picture. It is a highly detailed, perfectly to scale aerial map of your entire site that is geographically locked.
Geographically locked, which means I could take that map and literally overlay it onto my CAD drawings, my computer-aided design blueprints, and instantly see the physical reality against the plan.
Exactly. You overlay the orthomosaic on the CAD file, and you can instantly see if, say, a trench was dug 3 feet to the left of where it should be, or if a concrete pour is off.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you catch the mistake on Friday afternoon before the next trade arrives on Monday morning.
I imagine clients absolutely eat that up too. Being able to send an owner a high-res, interactive, visual progress report every week instead of just some dry spreadsheet saying, earthwork 40% complete.
Oh, it builds massive trust. Clients love the transparency, and frankly, it protects the contractor too. If a dispute arises about when a certain milestone was hit, you have an unalterable, date-stamped 3D record of the site.
So what does this all mean for the bottom line? These use cases are fantastic, obviously, but if you're a business owner listening, you need to know the hard math of implementation. What is the actual investment required to get these capabilities?
Well, barrier to entry is shockingly low compared to heavy machinery.
Okay, hit me with the numbers.
The true startup cost for a highly capable commercial drone, and I'm including extra batteries, a carrying case, accessories, and the required software subscription, is going to sit between $2,000 and $7,000 total.
Okay, let me push back here for a second.
Sure.
Buying the drone is one thing, but flying a commercial drone over a busy job site with heavy machinery, open trenches, and a dozen subcontractors running around sounds like a massive liability.
Yeah.
Do I have to go out and hire a dedicated, licensed drone pilot for $80,000 a year? Because if I have to add an $80K salary to my overhead, that completely ruins this amazing ROI we just talked about.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. That is the most common myth in the industry right now.
It's a myth.
Absolutely. While you certainly can hire a dedicated pilot if you're running some massive national operation with 50 concurrent sites, the vast majority of contractors do not need to do that. You do not need to expand your payroll.
So who flies it? My existing project manager.
Yes. You take an existing team member, a PM, a superintendent, an estimator, and you have them get their FAA Part 107 remote pilot certificate.
Is that a difficult process? It sounds like you need to send them to flight school or something.
Not at all. It requires absolutely zero previous flight experience.
Really?
Yeah, it's a written knowledge test. They aren't testing how well you can move joysticks. They're testing your understanding of airspace classifications, reading weather reports, and safety protocols.
Oh, okay.
It takes about 2 weeks of studying, a few hours a night. You go to a local testing center, and the exam fee is only $175.
You're kidding.
You pass that, and your PM is legally certified for commercial operations.
Wow. Okay. So $175 and a few weeks of studying, and my PM is legal. What about the recurring software costs and the insurance?
For software, a platform like Drone Deploy, which handles all the automated flight planning and the photogrammetry processing, will run you about $300 to $500 a month. And for drone liability insurance, which you absolutely must have before flying over a site, you're typically looking at an annual premium of $500 to $1,500.
All right, let's do the ROI calculation then. Let's walk through a concrete example for the listener. Let's say your company does 10 commercial roof inspections a year, using traditional methods, ladders, harnesses, maybe renting a boom lift, tying up a two-man crew for a day. Let's conservatively say that costs you $5,000 per inspection in labor, equipment, and lost time.
Sounds about right.
So that's $50,000 a year just to look at roofs.
Right. Now swap in the drone workflow.
Okay, so you train your PM. The drone inspection takes an hour. It costs you maybe $500 in allocated time, insurance, and software overhead per job. So for those same 10 roofs, your total cost drops to $5,000. You just save $45,000 annually.
On an initial capital investment of $7,000.
That is more than a 6x ROI in year one. You are hitting your payback period after just 2 or 3 jobs. That's not a capital expense. That's just finding free money on your job site.
The math is undeniable. It really is. But as companies scale this up, they run into a completely new, unexpected point of friction.
Wait, I think I can see where this is going. If I do a facade inspection in an hour and the drone is snapping a high-res photo every 2 seconds, I just generated over 1,000 images.
Yep.
Someone has to actually look at those, right? If my project manager now has to sit at a desk for 3 days manually zooming in on 1,000 photos to find a hairline crack in the masonry, I haven't actually saved any time. I just moved the bottleneck from the scaffolding to the office chair.
You nailed it. You've identified the great trap of modern construction tech: information overload.
Oh.
You implement this drone program, and suddenly you have gigabytes of incredibly detailed data pouring into your office every week. High-res orthomosaics, thermal maps, 3D point clouds. Scaling a construction business isn't just about gathering field data, it's about processing it.
So how do we solve that? How does a contractor manage this flood of project data without burying their team in administrative work?
You have to integrate artificial intelligence platforms specifically built for construction. AI doesn't just look at photos. It actually understands the context of the build.
Okay, let's get specific here because AI gets thrown around a lot as a magic bullet. Based on the sources we're reviewing, how does this actually work mechanically?
Think of it like a GPS for your project. A GPS doesn't just show you a map of the road, right? It reroutes you because it can see a traffic jam 3 miles ahead that you cannot see.
Right.
The AI does the exact same thing for your project data. Instead of a human sorting through 1,000 drone photos, the AI automatically tags, sorts, and categorizes them by location. It cross-references the imagery against your blueprints and flags the one photo where a window flashing is installed backward.
And it goes way beyond just analyzing photos, right? Because I'm looking at how these systems handle the mountain of paperwork that comes with a job. Think about the life cycle of a typical RFI, a request for information. Usually a subcontractor finds an issue, the PM spends an hour writing up the RFI, digging out the relevant specs, sending it to the architect, and then waiting a week for an answer.
It is a massive time sink. But these AI systems act as a project-aware assistant. They can turn long, rambling field reports into clear, bulleted meeting summaries. They extract specific material specs from hundreds of pages of documents.
That's wild.
It gets better. If you need to draft an RFI, the AI can actually draft the response using the historical context of the project. It can analyze the potential impact of a change order on the schedule and even check compliance against the original specs.
It allows teams to use natural language search across all project files, too. So instead of digging through 7 nested folders on a server to find a submittal from 3 months ago, you just type, "Show me the specs for the HVAC units on the second floor," and boom, it's there.
Exactly. And we are seeing this exact shift reflected in the broader data right now. Smart Business Automator's Market Intelligence Report tracks technology adoption rates, and it shows that contractors are actively hunting for these specific efficiencies today.
Which brings us to the competitive threat. If you're sitting on the sidelines right now thinking your traditional methods work fine, you need to know that searches for construction technology are up 114% on Google Trends.
Yeah, people are waking up.
If you wait to adopt these tools, you're going to be bidding against firms that can inspect a roof in 20 minutes for $200 and who have an AI drafting their change orders in 30 seconds. You simply cannot compete with that overhead.
The writing is on the wall. The only question is how quickly you integrate it into your operations.
All right, so we've established the undeniable financial reality, the mechanics of how it works, and the competitive necessity of all this tech. The ultimate practical question for the listener who is sitting in their truck right now is, how do I actually start tomorrow morning?
It comes down to a clear 6-step action plan. You don't need to completely overhaul your company overnight. You just need to take the first step.
Walk us through it. What is step 1?
Step 1 is training. Get a team member FAA Part 107 certified. Do not hire a new person. Pick someone reliable already on your payroll. As we discussed, it takes 2 weeks and costs $175.
Okay, that's easy enough. Step 2 is the hardware, but what am I actually buying? Do I need some custom rig with 8 propellers?
Step 2 is purchasing a reliable, off-the-shelf commercial drone. The industry standards right now for entry-level commercial work are the DJI Mavic 3 Enterprise or the DJI Air 3.
And those are affordable.
Very. They will cost you under $3,000. They have excellent sensors, thermal options, and they're incredibly stable in the wind.
Okay. Step 3 is software, and this is where I get a little nervous. If I'm flying a $3,000 drone over a multi-million-dollar active site, I don't want my PM playing a video game with joysticks. The human error potential is terrifying.
And that is exactly why you do not use joysticks for these surveys.
Really?
Step 3 is subscribing to automated flight planning software like Drone Deploy or Pix4D. You literally open an iPad, draw a polygon over a map of your job site, tell it you want 1-inch resolution, and hit go.
Wait, it flies itself?
Completely. The software calculates its own flight path, takes off, flies a perfect grid, taking photos automatically, and lands itself. The human is just there to monitor for safety.
Wow, that removes so much of the anxiety. Okay, what's step 4?
Step 4 is targeting the fastest ROI. Do not try to do complex 3D earthwork modeling on day 1. Start with basic roof inspections and weekly visual progress monitoring. Get those easy wins, build confidence in the team, and capture those immediate cost savings.
Makes sense. Step 5.
Step 5 is leveraging the data. Build a portfolio of aerial deliverables. Start taking these high-quality orthomosaic maps and 3D models and put them directly into your bids and proposals. It's going to differentiate your firm from the guy still handing over text documents and iPhone photos.
Brilliant. And what is the final step? How do we make sure we don't end up with the FAA knocking on our trailer door?
Step 6 is critical. Always check local airspace using the LAANC system. LANC stands for Low Altitude Authorization and Notification Capability.
LANC, okay.
It's essentially an app on your phone. If your job site is near an airport or in controlled airspace, you use LANC to request instant automated approval from the FAA to fly. It takes 10 seconds, but it keeps you legal, safe, and fully compliant.
I love how actionable that is, and I really want to emphasize to everyone listening, this is not about buying gadgets because they look cool on a brochure. This is a fundamental shift in your operational strategy. It's an investment that pays for itself in a matter of weeks, not years.
It really is. And if I can offer one final thought to mull over right now, we view drones as passive observers. They fly over, they collect data, and they come back. But the next step, which is already being tested in labs and on advanced sites, is active intervention.
Active intervention?
Yeah.
Meaning what? The drone actually builds something.
Precisely. We are talking about heavy lift drones equipped with nail guns for roofing, or drones that can spot weld a structural connection at 200 feet in the air without human intervention.
Are you serious?
I am. The drone you buy today to take photos is essentially the predecessor to the robotic crew you will be hiring tomorrow. Because a drone is really just a flying sensor. The true revolution here isn't just flying robots. It's that physical construction spaces are being perfectly digitized in real time.
That's a crazy thought.
The companies that master data collection today will be the only ones prepared to manage the automated building fleets of the next decade. The most successful contractors won't just be builders. They will be masters of data management.
That is an incredible thing to think about. The heavy, invasive scaffolding of the past is gone, replaced by invisible networks of data that keep you safer, faster, and infinitely more profitable. Thank you for joining us on today's Deep Dive. If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe to Sailing Legends on your preferred platform. Rate, review, and share this with your team or colleagues who need to hear it. And to scale your business without drowning in admin work, visit smartbusinessautomator.com today.